Today we're going to be looking at how to talk to AI. What are some basic things you can do? What are some simple techniques to follow? And what are the quickest ways to get wins, to make your AI work better for you? We've all worked with AI, we've gotten frustrated, we've gotten angry, and I hope you now know why. If you have watched that video I did on the basics and what happens behind the scenes, it really does help frame and contextualize how these AIs work, when they work well, and when they make mistakes. So if you haven't watched that yet, I please urge you to go give it a watch. I really think you'll get a lot of value from that. Now, to today, how to talk to AI. How can you structure your questions, structure your instructions in such a way to make sure the AI is giving you the very best answer? Now, there's two things I want to touch on. The first is what we call a prompt pyramid. And the second are two tips that I've found incredibly useful when working with AI. Firstly, to the prompt pyramid. I'm going to be sharing my screen so you guys can follow along. Now, we want to keep it as simple as possible to work with AI, to understand how to get the most out of AI. So we put together this simple prompt pyramid with essentially 4 layers. Now, your foundation is the role. This is probably the most important thing you can do when speaking to AI, is assigning it a role. So instead of telling an AI, help me with a marketing campaign, instead I'm going to tell the AI, you are an expert marketer with a PhD in social media marketing. For whatever reason, the AIs love that word PhD. Now, given you've watched that video on how they work behind the scenes, this should actually make sense to you. When you tell an AI it's an expert marketer with a PhD in social media marketing, when it's responding to you word by word and doing those calculations, that smart highlighter has highlighted expert, PhD. So the AI is always going to be answering in such a way to satisfy that. In other words, it's going to be answering like an expert would. So instead of saying, help me with a marketing campaign, I'm saying, you're an expert marketer with a PhD in social media marketing. Help me with that marketing campaign. The difference in answer, night and day. That's the biggest tip I can give you with prompting, is assign it a role. It's an incredibly effective way to 10x the intelligence of your AI. So, the role. Tell it who it is, tell it what knowledge it has so it can better serve you. The second really important aspect is the task. Obviously, the AI can't do any work if you haven't given it an instruction. So we want to give it a role. You're an expert marketer. We want to give it a task. Help me with a marketing campaign. Those are the two most important things you can do. The next one is context. Now, as I mentioned in that video, how AIs work behind the scenes, there's no such thing as too much relevant context, but there's very quickly such a thing as irrelevant context. When you're asking an AI for help, when you're giving it an instruction, you really want to try and give it as much relevant context that will help it execute its task. So instead of just saying, help me with a marketing campaign, I'm now saying, you are an expert marketer with a PhD in social media marketing. Help me with a marketing campaign for the launch of my new product, targeting 18 to 24-year-olds in the Gauteng region who attend university. You can obviously build on that a lot more, but I think you get the idea. You really want to give it a lot of context. It'll help the AI understand the needs much better and then give you a significantly better answer. So, give it context, give it as much relevant context as you possibly can. Now, the last one is an example of what the answer should look like or what the format should be of that answer. In other words, if I want my social media marketing post to look a certain way, I'll actually tell the AI in the prompt, you're an expert marketer, help me with a marketing campaign targeting 18 to 24-year-olds, and I want the social media post to be very short paragraphs with 3 captions, and they should be fun and engaging. So you're giving it a format, you're giving it an example, apologies, and this will really help structure the framework around which your AI answers you. Please give this a try at home. Please open up your Spock, Try this prompt pyramid and you'll see a significant difference in the output and what your answer looks like. So that's the prompt pyramid. Two big tips I want to give you. The first is one that is incredibly useful, and that is tell your AI to ask you questions or ask you clarifying questions if it's unsure about anything. So in other words, if I say, help me with a marketing campaign, ask me clarifying questions, you're quickly going to see that AI is going to ask you, all right, hold on, who's your target audience? What are you trying to, what's the message you're trying to get across to them? What channel are you thinking about, etc. What that does is basically it allows the AI to fill up missing context. You may think you give your AI enough context, but I promise you, you're not. So by saying, ask me clarifying questions, the AI will then actually go and understand what you've given it, where are the gaps in the relevant context it requires, ask you those questions. Once you've answered, the AI will be able to answer you or give you an output, and it will be significantly better than if you had not said, ask me clarifying questions. So that's tip number one. Tell the AI to ask you clarifying questions. The second really big tip, and this is actually part of a bigger session, and I'll loop back to that, this in the future when I talk about agents, but use the AI for feedback. Use the AI to push back on your ideas. If you say, help me with a marketing campaign, etc., and you've built your beautiful prompt, it's given you a fantastic answer, don't just use that. First then tell the AI, okay, now embody my target market. You are the 18 to 24-year-old. Give me critique or critical feedback on why these social media posts don't make sense, or give me feedback on my approach, my idea, my whatever it may be. But asking the AI to give you feedback once you've done work is a really good way to spot holes in kind of the work you've done. And that allows you to go back to the drawing board, iterate based on that, ask for feedback again, and you go through that loop 2 or 3 times, and you'll see the output, the effects are, it's difficult to put into words how much smarter, how much better your AI will be. So that's it for today. I wanted to take you guys through the prompt pyramid, give you those 2 really, really useful tips. Please try this at home. Please open up your Spock. And I look forward to seeing you guys on the next session. Hold on. I forgot to mention something. You've seen the video on how to use Spock. I hope you have. If you haven't, please go check it out. It really will give you a good idea of how the platform works, how you can get the most out of it. But we've now gone through the session of how to prompt, how to talk to your AI. If any of this seems overwhelming, confusing, you can always watch the video again. But what you can also do, on Spock, at the bottom, in your little chat bar, there's a button called Prompt Help. Prompt Help will essentially apply all of these things we've discussed now to your prompt, and you'll see the difference in answers. I hope that helps. Look forward to the next session. Thanks.